Recording. And we are live. Hey, how's it going? Kensington students, Troy, Breakaway, and Edge. We're so happy to be with you. I'm excited today to introduce you to Jason Ballard. Jason, thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. I don't know where you're at, but I'm in rainy Vancouver right now. And I'm just thrilled to be what is it? Like via the internet in Michigan. I
Yes.
don't think I've ever been to Michigan before. And
Really?
so this is pretty cool to be joining you guys in Troy of all places, Troy, Michigan. And then you mentioned
Breakaway.
is that a place or a name of a ministry?
That's our middle school ministry. And then Edge is our high school students.
I thought maybe you were mentioning like different locations. I was like, wow, Michigan's got very cool suburb names.
There actually are a lot of really cool places. So we would love to have you come visit sometime and we'll show you around. It'll be great.
Consider it a deal, man. I'd love that.
We're in a heat wave, so you'd have to brace yourself for that. But Jason, why don't you, just to kind of get us kicked off, why don't you tell our students a little bit about you, your family,
Sure.
kind of what you do, where you're at, things like that.
Yeah, sweet. Well, I am calling you today from Vancouver, British Columbia. So my wife and our three kids, we got three little ones, Hudson, Mary, and Millie. Millie is 2, turning 3. Mary just turned 5. Hudson is 6, turning 7. And so Hudson's the only one in our crew that's in school right now, but he's being homeschooled, which is really interesting in the midst of COVID.
Are you carrying any of that?
I think I'm in charge of like PE.
Okay. Nice.
And sometimes like we just this weekend got some plants for gardening. So I don't know what class is that, like home ec. So I was helping with the gardening. Yeah, we're involved. It's like I'm in a home office right now. So we're here in Vancouver and we just actually moved from a suburb of Vancouver, which is called Langley, where I've been pastoring and living for a long time, into downtown Vancouver because we're planting a church. So this September, we launch a brand new church called The Way Church Vancouver. And so this is a really fun part of my journey. And then so a bit of my like career world is I'm like planting a church with some friends. I work for an organization called Alpha. We made the Alpha Youth Series and another course called the Alpha Film Series that are for like adults. And we do work to support churches around the world to help engage people who wouldn't typically go to church in conversations about faith, life, and God. And then a few other little fun projects, and then do a lot of youth ministry stuff because I just think that for me, middle school and high school was such a defining time for my own walk with Jesus. I remember as a middle school student, I decided, man, I don't necessarily want anything to do with the Bible or church. And then God really grabbed hold of my heart. And then I was working with some friends to begin in high school, reach my friends who didn't know Jesus. And so really love investing and talking to friends that are in high school, middle school, like right now.
Cool. That's so awesome. I love it. Yeah. A lot of our students who have gone through Alpha in the past, they probably, when we started this afternoon, they probably were like, I know this guy. Where do I know this guy from?
I know him from something. Yeah.
And that's where it would be Youth Alpha. So that's really cool. How did you come to get involved with Youth Alpha? And you kind of mentioned in middle school, you had kind of said you didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah.
But how did that journey progress to where you got involved in Youth Alpha today?
Yeah, that's a good question. So when I was in high school, it would have been maybe grade 10. Like in grade 9, my friends and I were praying every Wednesday morning before school. We did, like, one of the teachers let us use the classroom. So we'd pray every morning before school started, pray for our friends that didn't know God, and just pray that God's like love and goodness would come to the school. So we started all these different things. Like we started like a club called Love Global, and we just picked up garbage and did service and justice project and raised money for a well overseas. And then we began to think, what would it look like to create an environment where people who've never been to church before could actually like explore Christianity, like ask questions and have good dialogue, because whether you're a follower of Jesus or not, I just knew students needed to not just hear the message, but have a chance to like wrestle with those life questions. And so we found this resource called Quest, which is like super old. It's not around anymore. And it was on VHS, which you've probably never heard of it, but it's like this like tape with like a magnet strip that you put into a VCR, and then you could, anyways,
none of these students are knowing.
Just Google it. Yeah. Google VHS. It will blow your mind.
Yeah.
It's a real thing. And so we began doing these discussion groups that was just like Alpha. So essentially the Alpha Youth Series, you eat some food together, you watch a video, it pauses 3 times for discussion, goes to the basic Christian faith. There's no questions offside. There's no right or wrong answer, just about exploring it. So we're doing Quest, and we're just having a blast. And so this like so impacted my life. When I graduate high school, I end up finding myself supporting, like, we started this ministry that was like working with hundreds of high school students across Canada who were trying to do things like prayer groups and outreach in their school. Yeah. And then Quest years later, Quest is like long dated. We realized, man, we need a resource that could serve youth ministries, students, and their friends. And so I approached Alpha, and they had no resource like that for high school students on video. And so we began this really long journey that started in like 2012 in like making the youth series. We released the first one in 2013. It ended up exploding around the world, got translated into like 30 different languages, used by like tens of thousands of youth ministries. So we refilmed it in 2017. I think it's been done by like 1.3 million youth around the world. Like it's insane.
Oh, goodness.
And so it's just been like this incredible sort of roller coaster ride. And the coolest thing is I co-host it with my buddy, Ben.
Right.
And Ben was my youth pastor in high school, bro.
No way. That's
yeah.
awesome.
And so like he and I had been like scheming and dreaming and planning about, serving God together for a long time. And he actually just lives up the road, and his wife, Melissa, and my wife, Rach, and we hang out all the time, like not as much now during COVID, but you know what I mean? Like before when we're allowed.
Right.
And so he and I were it was always just a dream of friends to do a project like that together. Yeah. And then now he leads Alpha Youth globally, and we get to work together lots. It's pretty fun.
That's so cool. So one thing that we hear from our students often is they want to be able to know how to share their faith with their friends about Jesus. But given the current climate that we're in right now with COVID and social distancing, and we're on pretty heavy lockdown restrictions here in Michigan. I don't know what BC is like, but what would you say to a student living in this moment right now, where they're at home relying on FaceTime or Zoom or whatever it is? What would you say to them about trying to share their faith with their friends?
Yeah. I used to always hope that there was going to be like some like script I could find, or like tool or something that would just like make people into followers of Jesus or whatever. And what I've realized is there's nothing like that. There's no magic script. There's no magic recipe. And the question, we often wrestle with is like, why would we even want someone to come to know Jesus? And I think it's because we long for them to know like the same peace and hope and joy that we have. Right. And how people come to know that and experience that personally is like so unique to everybody. So how do you do it in this time? I think it's the same with any time. Like you journey in relationship with people, and you care for people, you love people, and you have sincere conversations, really sincere conversations. One of the things I've learned a lot about is, when you're talking with people about their hopes, their dreams, their fears, like deeper stuff, like beneath the surface stuff, not just like, what did you watch on Netflix last night? Right. See, like when we talk about surface stuff, it's hard God doesn't come up. And so sometimes you feel like you have to force it. And I just want you guys to know, listening, you never have to like force a conversation about God. There's no tricks. You don't have to like sneak it into a conversation. People are smart. They don't want to feel like caught off guard or snuck up on. Sure. But I think that it does come up really naturally when you're talking about deeper things, because as soon as you start talking about people's dreams, their fears, whatever it might be, when you're sharing from your perspective, that's where God lives. That's where he's intersected with your life. And so it's so natural to begin talking about how God is impacting your vision of the future. Or like you're talking about like missing school and missing friends, and like, okay, why is that in this time? And then all of a sudden it makes sense. Like, how's God playing into your life in this time? And then of course there's all sorts of like little things you can do. But the big thing that we've loved doing is inviting people into environments like Alpha. And so inviting people into a conversation. So you don't have to do Alpha to do that, but you can invite, hey, do you ever want to chat about these things? Like, or like, hey, you can sincerely express to people like, hey, I just want you to know, like, I've been praying for you during this time. I've texted a bunch of friends that I know in the city and just say, how are you doing? Like, honestly, how are you doing during all of this? And it's like, thanks for asking. Hey, I just want you to know, I'm just really committed to praying for you during this time. No strings attached. I'm not trying to manipulate a conversation. I just want them to know that I care. And then set the opportunity for a conversation with them if they wanted to have that.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, last kind of serious question here before we get to a 7-question mashup round, which is going to be crazy. But what would you say to the student who's at home, lonely, maybe feeling a little bit depressed because of school being canceled, sports being canceled, maybe they had a family trip or something like that canceled? What would you say to them as they are processing through all of these challenges today, and then translating that into like, what does that mean for their faith and their walk with Jesus right now?
First of all, I'd say be nice to yourself. Like, this is really hard. Like, I know that everyone's been affected differently. Right. And there's some people where it's like, maybe they've lost a grandma or something to COVID, but most of us haven't. Most of us, it's kind of like this thing that's out there, and you kind of go like on one level, like, has it really affected my life? Like, I don't have school, but you're like, it's not like you don't want to complain. Like, you're like, man, I'm fortunate if you haven't been sick because of it. But the reality is all that's going on, like all of the news, all of the change, all of the disruption, all of the like debate, all of the, and then the energy, like there's just an energy around
Right.
that's affecting you internally.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like very normal. Like there's these weird studies, like weird dreams have increased. Like people are dreaming more. Like it's not a weird thing. Like during COVID, for some reason, people are having more like visual dreams. Like what is that? I don't
Now
even
that you
know.
mentioned that, I have had some really weird dreams. So
Like it's, but there's like, but why? And it's like, it's because like there's just so much we're processing and you don't even know it. So like you're exhausted, like you're mentally and emotionally, and then maybe even physically, like maybe you haven't been as active as you used to be. You'd be like, I'm not an active person, but like going to school and all this stuff. And then you miss friends, but you might even not know it. Mm-hmm. All that's going on. And so it's very normal to feel off. And then probably this hasn't been the best season for like, maybe you're watching media a lot and that can create all kinds of negative stuff, or maybe you're just vegging out. And I just want to say, be nice to yourself. Like I'm telling you as a friend, like, hey, don't beat yourself up for not feeling like you were a superhero during quarantine, that you didn't like work out every day and read your Bible for an hour and journal and then like do random acts of kindness and write like letters to the old people in your community. Like if you didn't hit that standard, you're not the only one, and be nice to yourself. There's lots going on. That being said, like during times like this, some of the basics that have been helping me like crazy, there's 3 things I've been doing that have like helped me so much. The first is I'm just trying to go for walks with God. So like, just like no like program, no plan. I'm just trying to get out my door and I'm just going for a walk to talk with God. And, sometimes it feels like the conversation, like I've got lots to say. And sometimes my mind wanders and I just get distracted, but I'm just trying to like move my body and connect with God. And that might be unique to me because I connect with him in nature. But the other thing I've been doing is trying to listen to stuff that like builds my soul. So whether that's good worship music or good podcasts, there's so much good content out there. Like me and my buddy Ben, we did this like 30 days through the book of Mark every day on our Instagram, like on IGTV. We just post like a 10-minute video through the book of Mark, and like hundreds of students were following along just because for them, they're like, hey, this is the only input that I have like that. And so we're trying to do things like that. But the number one thing that's helped me during this time is I get on the phone with another friend who follows Jesus and I just talk and we try to pray together. And just try to make sure I'm connecting with other people who are connecting with God. We're encourage each other. And so be nice to yourself. Like if you need to get on your feet and go for a walk with God, put good things in your ear, and then get on the phone with friends. I guess that's what you're doing here with youth group right now, like getting on this and saying, hey, I'm going to put good things in my life. But it can't just be like something we watch. You've got to get on the phone or on FaceTime or Skype, whatever you're using, and chat with people. And if you haven't done this yet, I just want to dare you to do something. Before you hang up with your Christian friend, just say, hey, can we pray together really quick? And the first time you do it, guys, it's going to be so awkward. Like you're going to be like, it's so awkward. And the second time, and you're like, how long should I pray for? And like, does it work on the phone? And then like the second time it might be awkward, but I promise you by the third time, it won't be awkward at all. I promise you, it won't be awkward at all. And you'll end up realizing like, oh, one of the most powerful things you could ever say in a conversation with a Christian friend on the phone or on FaceTime or whatever it might be is, hey, can I pray for you? Hey, can I pray for you? And not like, hey, I will pray for you. We're all Christians always say that, right? Oh, I will pray for you. And then we never end up doing it. No, can I pray for you? It doesn't have to be elaborate, but like, I'm thinking like about you guys. I can pray for you right now. Like, God, I just thank you for all these students in Michigan right now listening. I just pray that you bless them right now. And that you be with them, that you comfort them in Jesus' name. Simple. Like nothing magical about that, but it's like one of the ways we serve each other. And that, do you know, as my eyes were open, that was a real prayer. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to like, you don't have to look intense. No, it's fine. You can do that. I'm just saying like, whatever is your expression. Sometimes I close my eyes, I put my hands out. That's great. Yeah. But also it's like, it can just be like friends having a conversation. Like we know God's on the phone with us. Like he's omnipresent. Right. But it's like, okay, let's just turn this to God. And man, that makes such a difference in my friendships through this time. And it's really built me up. So that's my advice in this time to thrive in the midst of quarantine.
That's so good. Thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate you sharing that. And I know that's really going to encourage our students. All right, to wrap up, are you ready? We have
for a lightning round.
7-question mashup round.
Okay, you got it. I'm ready. I'm going to focus.
Yeah, just buckle up because these are good. Are you ready?
I'm so ready, man.
All right. Also, you have 5 seconds or less to answer. So
Okay.
don't
You got
let
it.
that pressure you too much. Question 1. Rain boots on your feet or mittens on your hands every day for the rest of your life. Which one?
Ooh, rain boots on my feet.
All right. 7-Eleven Slurpee or Dairy Queen Blizzard?
Blizzard every day.
Say a word in Spanish.
Hola.
Ooh, okay, good. When was the last time you sneezed?
I think yesterday.
Very nice, very nice. Define triskaidekaphobia.
It's the fear of Triscuits.
No,
10
it actually,
Triscuits at a time. It's the fear of 10 Triscuits.
no, if you would have said 13 Triscuits, that would have made sense because that is the fear of the number 13 and you want to avoid it.
Oh.
Question 6. Would you rather lose all your hair or gain 50% more hair?
Ooh, I would gain 50% more.
Good call, good call. And the final question. If you were given an all expenses paid trip to Cleveland, Ohio, would you take it?
Can I bring my family?
Sure.
Yeah, if they can come, I'll come. But not during COVID.
No, the answer actually was no, because you don't want to go to Cleveland, Ohio ever.
Can you tell me this? Is there a beef between like Ohio, Cleveland, and Michigan?
So Michigan and Ohio State, the University of Michigan and Ohio State University are bitter rivals. And Ohio State has been better than Michigan has for several years. So that's a little bit painful.
So it's personal. It's personal and it's painful.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Dude, that was so much fun. I love being with you guys. Everyone listening to this conversation, thank you so much for hanging out. And please stay in touch. Like, I'm easy to get a hold of online, on Facebook, on Instagram, on those things. And we'd love to stay in touch.
You want to maybe just throw your handle out so they can find you?
Sure. Yeah. Jason A. Ballard on Instagram. Instagram is probably the most active on. And so and that's where we're posting content that hopefully can encourage you right now. And man, we're just having a lot of fun. It's really cool.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much. We are so appreciative of you taking time out of your schedule. I know you're probably on Zoom all the time, but we really appreciate you taking some time with us today, and hope that you and your family stay safe through the rest of COVID and quarantine, and we'll talk to you down the road. And
hold up. You told me you're Canadian, right?
I am Canadian. Yes.
Like born in Canada?
Born in Toronto, Ontario.
And then you moved to Michigan for work with your wife, and now you're here.
Correct.
And that's pretty nice of Canada, hey, to send you to
maybe they just need a little bit of a sprinkle of Canadian politeness,
Yeah, I just think, thank you, man. I hope you come back one day, to Canada. We miss you.
Someday. I'm pretty happy where we are right now, but I would not say no.
I bet. It's so funny because you're from Toronto, I'm from Vancouver, which is like a 5-hour flight.
Right.
But anyone from America is just like, oh, do you know my buddy from Toronto? I'm like, listen, that's far from Vancouver.
Yeah. I've had several of those conversations. Do you know Jeff? I think he lives in
Jeff from Canada.
Saskatchewan, I think it is.
That's so good.
I don't know.
Oh, I love it. Well, thanks for hanging out, man. Appreciate being with you today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. Take care.